We know those Atlanta Hawks got bounced, unfortunately. 6 games against the Milwaukee Bucks. And this team has done so much. I mean, we saw what the Hawks were. Huge fairy tale, Cinderella story run. I mean, Eastern Conference Finals. They were underdogs in every series. We can argue about we're a Trae Young ankle twist away from being in the finals, and who knows? I mean, they moved the finals all the way up from Thursday to Tuesday because they want some action. Who knows if the Hawks are there, if it would have been any different. But the Hawks definitely are going to be one of those teams that within the years to come, hiring Nate McMillan, huge thing for them, taking the interim tag off. And they got a lot of talent. They're really deep. They're a driven team. They're super resilient. But, Feez, if you had to say one thing that the Hawks have to do to really establish themselves, not to just make this one run to the Eastern Conference, what do they have to do to be consistent NBA title contenders?
I mean, just outside of literally being consistent, I think, one thing that they could do, just add a little depth and size.
Yeah.
So they can't get bullied by a team like the way Brook Lopez just came out and showed up. I mean, it was they took him off guard since there was no Giannis. You didn't practice or prepare for that, and you had no idea what that team was going to look like without Giannis because you never see it.
Right.
Because he normally doesn't miss games. But, I mean, that's just a common theme. When you play against them, you try to go big and bully them down low. So, I mean, if there was one area where they needed to really, try to build some depth and bolster that roster, you try to get some size.
Right. Yeah, I see what you're saying there. Now, oddly enough, when you look at the breakdown of the Hawks roster, they do have some size in terms of length for guys. But when you're thinking about a Giannis or an Embiid or even how a Kevin Love was, in his Timberwolves and Cavaliers days that he's still in, we don't have a guy a big guy that's truly versatile. I mean, you look twist away from being in the finals, and who knows? I mean, it's all good, guys. Appreciate it. We just had to make sure y'all heard that part. But anyways, you look at DeAndre Hunter, 6'8". Great long guy. He was scoring, consistently for us before he got hurt, went out in the Knicks series. John Collins at 6'9", another guy who is pretty inconsistent, unfortunately, this season. We know he dealt with some injuries. Now, last year, he was a good player at about 23 and 10, but overall, you keep going through the lineup here. Double O, Onyeka Okongwu at 6'9", the 20-year-old rookie who had some valuable minutes in the playoffs, but you still want to see more out of him, and I think with the tutelage of this team now and Nate McMillan, you'll definitely be able to see that. Capella at 6'10", but again, no offensive game. He's great with a putback. He's great with a dunk, but I mean, even a layup, sometimes you're kind of wondering, is Capella truly going to convert this? Gallo, Danilo Gallinari at 6'10", who can shoot, he can play big, but he's not going to be a guy that's consistently giving you, 15 to 20 night, like the Hawks truly need. And if we're talking about size, effective size, I guess I would say our most versatile big guy would be Cam Reddish. You saw him come out with 21 points, 6 for 7 from downtown, and that's the first time he's played 5-on-5 basketball since February. So when you see all the size that they truly have with the Hawks, they have length, but it's talking about really versatility, with those big guys. But if we're talking about one thing that the Hawks really want to be able to, to push for that NBA title, I say it's got to be a consistent 2. And it's not even in the terms of shooters. I mean, we got Trae, we got Bogey, we got Cam Reddish, Lou Williams can shoot, Gallinari can shoot, but, when you look at it, only a couple of those guys are truly consistent every night. Now, the question all year was, who is Atlanta's truly second best player? And in my opinion, it was Bogdanović. I mean, in April, he was averaging 25 a game. But other than that, I feel like Bogey was the one guy. I mean, even when he was coming back from injury with a couple games, 28 points, 25 points, 30 points. And the Hawks were falling short, but he was doing what he could. And, when you think the Hawks really need, they need a Chris Middleton, they need a Paul George, they need a Derrick Rose, a Bradley Beal, someone else that can come in. Yeah, if they can be a 25 to 30 point a night guy, then that's great. We're looking at a, potentially Golden State type of thing, which is, why we had the tutelage of Trae Young and Cam Reddish. But at least a guy that can give you 15, 18 points a night, because again, the big question was, who's Atlanta's second best player? I mean, it's hot right now for the Hawks. The iron is hot. You don't want to miss out on this. You don't want this to be a one-time Eastern Conference Finals run like you had with Coach Bud, and then the next few years the coach is out the door and you're rebuilding with a piss-poor coach like we just had, who was winning 34% of the games. So the iron's hot now. I mean, I think it's right in front of the Hawks. Go get a number 2 for Trae. You have to go get a consistent number 2 for Trae. There's no question about that.
That's why I said they definitely have to make a move for the size depth and not just length. I mean, they really need somebody who can't get bullied down there.
Right.
I mean, Joel Embiid can have his way. Giannis can have his way.
Yep.
If, in fact, the Miami Heat find their lives, they're going to be a problem, and the Brooklyn Nets are still there. So it's you would just hope that for this one season, as well as they played, they don't fall into raising the expectations and the bar so high to forgetting that this is one of those special injury-ridden seasons that there were a lot of top teams that weren't like what they were supposed to be. Like I think next year will be different. I'm not saying that they won't be good. They should definitely be expected to make the playoffs and make a deep run.
Yeah.
But it's like as the ceiling was since you made the Eastern Conference Finals this year, wouldn't just all of a sudden be like they should go to the finals next year.
Right.
That's a bit much.
Yeah.
They definitely have to find a consistent scorer or a number two because at any given night it was a different player. I mean, one time you could say it was Bogey. At one point you thought it was John Collins. And I mean, like it just always kind of shifts. Every now and then it looks like it's Lou Williams, where we know he's not consistent with it like that. When he's on, he's a killer, and the team flows. But yeah, just like you said, they definitely need a number two guy who you can depend on, so Trae doesn't have to kill himself out there and shoot 1,000 shots a night.
Right, and that's where I'm coming from too. And then, like, you know, it's like you look at all the Atlanta teams. Like Georgia, one year they were in the national championship, and then every year they're just scraping up on the SEC title game. And of course, you know, college is a lot different, but let's take it to more professional sports. Like you've seen the Falcons before. They might have a 12, 13 win season, then they're obviously flipping, not really making huge moves. And it's just being content in the moment. You look at the Atlanta Braves. So many years they've had talent, but they're always cheap as hell, and they never want to make a move at the deadline. The Hawks have to break that standard that is over Atlanta sports. I mean, this is why there's so many memes. This is why people feel like it's toxic and these fans are so this, and that, which they can be. Every fan base can give you hell. But if you truly want to mix it up, like if you truly want to make this run sustainable, like it's so simple. Go get a 2 for Trae Young. It's just like you're looking at with Luka. It's just like you're looking at with Damian Lillard. I mean, even the same situation with LeBron James or maybe even Julius Randle. Like you've got a guy, but you need a 2. It is so hard to win in this league without a consistent 2 because Bogey can be a 3 on a title winning team. Capella can be a 4 on a title winning team, playing down low for you. I have no doubt about that, but they still need a number 2 to be their most consistent player. They have to be a number 2 consistent player. There's no question about it.
It's a shame, man. Like well, I won't say it's a shame. That's actually not what I meant. I wasn't going there. Is it what the part of it that I was referring to is the fact that we don't know which person it is.
Right.
And I mean, you don't even know like who's available that can come in and actually fill that void.
Right. Who would look, because like here's the thing with the Hawks. They're a young team. You know, they're in the middle of the rebuild, but they're coached so well. They're deep. They're resilient. You don't find that with a lot of NBA teams that are this young and really in the middle, or rather at the beginning, you know, of a new experiment, of a new rebuild. You know, who would break their contract? Who would really want to come to Atlanta? You know, you kind of think of, okay, maybe a Bradley Beal, maybe a Damian Lillard, but even then, those guys are potentially looking to stay with their franchise. They want to be the one and have a 2 for them. So, I mean, it's hard, but then that's why you see the NBA kind of switching up. It's just recruiting these super teams that everybody likes to say.
Well, they're going to cost a lot. To bring in one of those guys, you're going to give up a lot of the meat that you have there. And then you'd be thinking, like, was it worth it? Especially if one of them come in and you don't make it for stardom next year.
Yeah.
Even though it's not going to be an apples-to-apples comparison from this year to next year, you're still going to compare it that way.
Yep. I mean, the next step is finals. The absolute next step is NBA finals.